Sometimes, life grabs you by the soul, throws you into a storm, and says, "Now, let's see who you really are." You sit there, wondering why things don't go the way you planned. You replay the moments where you did your best and still lost. You did everything right, a broken bar, and yet, the world refused to listen. But here's the truth: no one tells you when you're breaking. You're not supposed to be in control. Not of people, not of timing, not of outcomes. Letting go is strength, not surrender. Letting go of those two words carry the weight of 1,000 storms. And yet, so often, they're misunderstood. People think letting go means weakness. They think it's about giving up, walking away, admitting defeat. But that's not true. Letting go isn't failure, it's one of the highest forms of strength you will ever develop in this life. Strength isn't always found in fighting harder. Sometimes, it's found in knowing when to stop fighting battles that aren't yours. There comes a point when you realize that no matter how tightly you hold on, how desperately you try to control people, outcomes, or the future, the world doesn't bend to your will. It moves with its own rhythm, its own seasons, its own flow. Letting go is choosing to stop wasting your energy trying to grip things that were never yours to hold. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've grown wise enough to stop pouring yourself into what drains you. Think about how much of your life is consumed by control. You try to control what people think of you. You try to control the outcome of your efforts. You try to control how others behave. You try to force things to move faster, smoother, more perfectly. And when it doesn't happen, you suffer. You suffer because you've tied your peace to things outside of you. You suffer because your expectations are shackled to outcomes. But peace doesn't live there. Peace lives where surrender begins, and not the surrender of effort, but the surrender of control. Letting go is not passivity. It's not sitting back and doing nothing. It's showing up every day with purpose, doing what you can, and releasing your grip on what you cannot. It's when the seed is planted, the soil is watered, and you trust the sun will rise tomorrow. It's when you speak your truth, walk with integrity, and allow others to respond how they will without begging them to see your heart. It's when you put in the work, take the shot, and know that whether you win or lose, you will be okay. Letting go is strength because it requires inner discipline. It demands that you rise above ego, the voice that screams, "I need to control this or I'll fall apart." But you won't fall apart. You are never meant to cling to things that don't belong to your soul. Here's what no one tells you. Some doors close not to punish you, but to protect you. Some people walk away not because you weren't enough, but because the path ahead needs you to walk it alone. Some dreams don't come true because something deeper is being prepared. Letting go is strength because it asks you to trust what you cannot see. Control is rooted in fear. We try to control because we're scared of loss, rejection, pain, failure. But letting go is rooted in faith. It's saying, even if I don't understand this now, I believe it's leading me somewhere good. And sometimes, that faith is the only thing holding you together. Think of a person standing in a storm, fists clenched around everything they're afraid to lose. They're being pulled in every direction by people, by expectations, by the fear of the unknown. Their grip tightens with every gust of wind. And yet, the storm doesn't stop. Now picture the same person, a broken bar, arms open, eyes closed, trusting the storm to pass. They let go, and not because they gave up, but because they chose peace over chaos. That's the difference. That's the power. Letting go is strength because it's a daily practice of humility. It's waking up each day and saying, I will do my best, but I will not torture myself with the things I cannot control. It's understanding that your energy is sacred, and wasting it on resistance only leads to suffering. You want to grow, you want to be truly powerful. Then start letting go of what weighs down your spirit. Let go of needing everyone's approval. Let go of replaying past mistakes you cannot change. Let go of obsessing over outcomes you can't guarantee. Let go of trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. Let go of timelines that don't match your life's divine unfolding. You are not here to control the wind. You are here to adjust your sails. When you let go, you create space for clarity, for grace, for peace. And in that space, you begin to hear your true self again. Not the anxious voice that's always grasping, but the quiet strength that says, I am enough, I will be okay, even if this falls apart. Letting go is strength because it teaches you emotional discipline. You don't lash out. You don't break down every time life disappoints you. You learn to breathe through the discomfort. You learn to hold space for your emotions without being ruled by them. You become unshakably, not because life stops shaking you, but because you stop needing it to be still. There's a story I want to share with you. There was a man who lost everything in a fire. His home, his business, his plans all gone overnight. He stood in front of the ashes, silent, as others around him cried for him. But he didn't cry. Someone asked him, "How are you so calm? How are you not angry? How are you not broken?" He looked at them, steady and still, and said, "Because I never owned any of this. It was mine to care for, not to possess. If it's gone, then it was time to let it go. I'll rebuild it not out of bitterness, but out of gratitude that I'm still breathing." That man understood what few ever do. Real strength isn't found in holding on to what's gone. Real strength is found in the courage to move forward without it. Letting go is strength because it allows you to be present. When you're not stuck in the past or fixated on the future, you can finally live. You can finally enjoy the now. And that is where life actually happens, not in the regrets of yesterday or the worries of tomorrow, but in the breath you're taking right now. Some of the most beautiful transformations happen when people finally let go. The woman who lets go of a toxic love and finally finds her voice. The man who lets go of chasing status and discovers inner peace. The dreamer who lets go of perfection and creates something real. You have that power, but you can't activate it while clinging to what's breaking you. Letting go is strength because it's a declaration. I trust myself. I trust the process. I trust that I don't need to control everything to be safe, loved, and whole. Control feels safe at first, but it's a prison. Letting go feels terrifying, but it leads to freedom. So, breathe. Loosen your grip. Trust the tide. Let the wind carry what was never meant to stay. Let the past be the past. Let people be who they choose to be. Let time do its work. Let pain shape you, not break you. Because in the end, you don't grow by clinging, you grow by releasing. You grow by surrendering the illusion of control and stepping into the quiet power of self-mastery. Letting go isn't giving up, it's growing up, and there's nothing stronger than that. Would you like me to continue with part 2 next? For example, the storms are the teachers. The storms are the teachers. There are moments in life that shatter you, moments that come out of nowhere, unexpected, uninvited, and unbelievably painful. A loss, a betrayal, a failure that breaks your spirit, a sudden turn you didn't see coming. And in those moments, you ask why? Why me? Why now? Why this? But what if those storms weren't punishments? What if they were teachers? What if the pain you're carrying is not evidence that life is against you, but the sign that life is shaping you? See, everyone wants strength, but no one wants the process. Everyone wants peace, but few are willing to walk through the fire it takes to find it. Everyone wants wisdom, but wisdom isn't born in comfort, it's born in storms. The storms strip away what's false, they break the illusions, they expose the things we've built our identity on, things that were never solid to begin with. When the winds come, they take what's weak and leave what's real. And what's real is you, your heart, your resilience, your ability to stand up again when everything around you has fallen. Storms are teachers because they confront us with truth, not the truth we read in books or hear from others, but the truth we can only learn when life has knocked the air out of our lungs and still asks us to breathe. That kind of truth doesn't come gently. It comes through sleepless nights, through shattered plans, through the tears you cry alone when no one is watching. But it stays, and it transforms you. A man who has never faced difficulty may seem confident, but it's a fragile kind of confidence. It hasn't been tested, it hasn't been proven. But the one who has walked through the fire and come out on the other side, he knows who he is. Not because life was easy, but because life was harder and he didn't break. The storms are not here to destroy you, they are here to reveal you. You don't learn patience when everything goes your way. You learn it when everything is delayed, when the doors stay closed, when the path is unclear, and still you keep walking. You don't learn courage when you're safe. You learn it when fear is screaming in your ears and you chose to act anyway. You don't learn faith when life is predictable. You learn it when nothing makes sense and still you trust that meaning will rise from the mess. The storm teaches you what comfort never could. It teaches you to let go, to adapt, to rise, to endure. It teaches you who you are when everything else is stripped away. There's a kind of wisdom that only pain can teach, the wisdom of compassion because you've suffered, so you know how to be gentle with others, the wisdom of perspective because you've lost, so you know what truly matters, the wisdom of endurance because you've struggled, so you know how to keep going when others quit. You become powerful not in spite of your storms, but because of them. There was a woman who built her life around her career. She poured everything into it, her time, her identity, her sense of worth. And then one day, she lost her job. It felt like the ground disappeared beneath her. She didn't know who she was without her title, her schedule, her role. For months, she wandered through confusion, depression, anger. But in that stillness, something started to shift. She realized how much of her value she had placed in things outside of her. She realized she had never really known herself, only the version of her that worked constantly to be accepted, validated, seen. In the storm, she came home to herself. She started writing again, something she had buried years ago. She reconnected with her family, with her spirit, with her truth. And when she rebuilt her life, it wasn't from fear, it was from freedom. The storm that once felt like the end became her beginning. That is what storms do. They end what needs to end. They wake you up. They clear the space. They force you to grow in ways you never would have chosen on your own. You don't become strong when life gives you everything. You become strong when life takes everything and you learn to stand anyway. Storms are teachers because they don't allow you to hide. They force you to face your pain, your insecurities, your doubts. They force you to look in the mirror and ask, what do I really believe? Who am I really? What do I actually want from this life? And you might not like the answers at first, but that's part of the lesson. Growth isn't clean. It's messy. It's painful. It's raw, but it's real. And in a world full of distractions and illusions, real is rare, real is priceless. Pain has a way of burning away everything that doesn't serve you. The approval of others, the need to be perfect, the fantasy of control. In the fire, you find clarity. In the fire, you discover what's essential. Storms don't just teach you about yourself, they teach you about others too. You learn who truly cares, who shows up, who stands by you not just in celebration, but in chaos. And you also learn who disappears, who betrays, who only loved the version of you that was easy to love. That knowledge, it hurts, but it sets you free. It frees you from pretending, from performing, from wasting your energy on people and places that don't nourish your soul. The storms are the teachers that teach you how to protect your peace, because once you've been through real pain, you don't let just anyone near your heart. You don't beg to be understood. You don't chase love that doesn't feel safe. You value your spirit too much to let it be handled carelessly. And that's not bitterness, that's wisdom. Wisdom forged in the fire. People often want a life without storms, but a life without storms is a life without depth, without contrast, without growth. You don't get the mountain without the climb. You don't get the sunrise without the night. You don't get the strength without the struggle. Every storm carries a lesson, but only if you're willing to listen. And listening means stopping. It means sitting with the pain, not running from it. It means asking what this moment is here to teach, not just wishing it would end. It means realizing that life is not punishing you. Life is preparing you to rise to your next level, preparing you to lead others, preparing you to love more deeply, to live more fully, to become more of who you were always meant to be. The storm is the curriculum of the soul, and every time you survive one, you come out wiser, stronger, and more grounded. Storms also teach you surrender, because you learn, over and over again, that you cannot control everything, that your plans are fragile, that your timelines are not the ultimate authority. And as painful as that is, it softens you, it humbles you, it makes space for grace. You begin to trust something deeper than your own understanding. You begin to see that even in the darkest nights, something greater is holding you. Even when you can't see it, growth is happening. Even when you don't feel it, healing is taking place. Even when you think you're lost, your soul knows the way. Storms remind you that you are not in charge of everything, but you are in charge of your response, and that response shapes your destiny. When you respond with bitterness, you become hardened. When you respond with resentment, you become heavy. But when you respond with courage, with reflection, with grace, you become light. You become free. The storms do not define you. How you move through them does. So, the next time life hits you hard, remember this. You are not being abandoned. You are being initiated into a deeper awareness, into a higher purpose, into a version of you that is more real, more resilient, more alive. And that version of you, it's waiting on the other side of the storm. Would you like me to expand the third point next? Peace lives in acceptance, not resistance. Peace lives in acceptance, not resistance. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from working hard up. It comes from fighting reality, from resisting what is, from constantly trying to bend life to your expectations, to your timing, to your comfort zone. That silent battle between what you want and what actually is. That's where inner chaos begins. And the antidote isn't more control, it's acceptance. Peace doesn't come when everything goes your way. It comes when you stop needing it to. This is the lesson that life will keep teaching you, over and over again, until you finally surrender, not in defeat, but in wisdom. Because the truth is, the more you resist what's happening, the more you suffer, not because of the situation itself, but because of your refusal to accept it. Pain is real, but suffering often comes from our thoughts, from our struggle to rewrite the moment as we wish it would be instead of facing it as it is. Acceptance is not about giving up, it's about choosing peace over resistance. It's saying, I may not like this, I may not understand it, but I will not fight reality. I will meet it as it is. It's not an act of weakness, it's an act of great strength. It takes courage to accept that something is over, that someone doesn't feel the same, that a plan has failed, that the past cannot be changed, that life is unfolding differently than you imagined. But in that courage, peace is born. Acceptance is what allows you to breathe again, to let go of the rope you've been pulling so hard on that your hands are bloody, to unclench your jaw, to loosen your grip, to stop asking life to be something other than what it is in this moment. You don't have to approve of what happened. You don't have to call it good, but you do have to stop resisting it if you want to move forward with peace. When you accept the moment, you stop fueling the storm with your fear. You stop feeding the fire with your frustration. You start seeing clearly again, and not through the lens of disappointment, but through the lens of presence. Acceptance is what brings you back to the present moment. And the present is the only place where life exists. When your mind is stuck in the past, you suffer. When it's always chasing the future, you worry. But when you drop into the now fully, completely, without resistance, you begin to feel peace return to your body. You start noticing the things you were too anxious to see, the beauty in the simplicity, the power in the breath, the silence that holds answers. You begin to realize that most of your suffering came not from the thing itself, but from your inability to let it be what it is. There's a story of a man who was walking through the woods during a fierce storm. As he approached a narrow pass, a massive tree had fallen across the path, blocking the way forward. He tried to push it. He shouted. He pounded his fists against it in rage. For hours, he stayed furious, demanding that the tree move, wasting all his strength in resistance. Eventually, exhausted and broken, he collapsed. And only then did he look around a broken bar and notice a side trail, quiet and clear, just off to the left. It had been there the whole time, but he couldn't see it through the fog of his resistance. That's what happens to us. We get so consumed by what should be that we miss what is. We get so obsessed with the door that closed that we miss the one quietly opening nearby. We get so stuck on wanting things to be different that we block the peace available and simply being with what's here. Acceptance is not passive. It's not lying down and letting life crush you. It's about taking your energy back. Instead of spending it on anger, on frustration, on mental spirals, you redirect it into something useful: healing, adapting, growing, moving forward. It's like water. When you resist the current, you drown. But when you relax into it, you float. The water is the samya. It's your response that makes all the difference. Some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet are the ones who've learned to stop resisting what they can't change. They've been through heartbreak, loss, disappointment, and they've chosen peace, not because their lives are perfect, but because they've accepted that life isn't perfect. and still worth loving. They don't need to control everything to be okay. They don't need answers to feel secure. They've learned to rest in the unknown. Acceptance gives you that gift, the ability to live peacefully even when things aren't perfect. Because perfection is a lie, and the pursuit of it is endless suffering. You will never be able to make everyone like you. You will never be able to guarantee success. You will never be able to keep life from changing. And the sooner you accept that, the freer you become. Acceptance is freedom. It's the freedom to feel your emotions without being ruled by them. The freedom to walk away without guilt. The freedom to start again without shame. The freedom to stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Peace is found in that freedom. You start to realize that your power was never in the fight. It was in the release. The decision to let go of what you thought had to happen, and embrace what is happening now. There's power in saying, I don't like this, but I accept it. There's strength in saying, this hurts, but I don't need to resist it to heal. Because healing begins the moment you stop fighting the wound. So many people delay their peace waiting for perfect closure, perfect justice, perfect resolution. But life rarely offers perfection. It offers movement. It offers moments. It offers chances to grow. And acceptance is what allows you to step into those chances. Sometimes, acceptance is grieving. Sometimes, acceptance is walking away. Sometimes, acceptance is staying, but shifting how you show up. It always requires you to be hostile with yourself, with your reality, with what your soul knows deep down. Resistance, on the other hand, is like a wall you keep slamming into. It says, this isn't fair. This can't be happening. I won't allow this. And in doing so, it traps you. Not because the situation is inescapable, but because your mind has made it so. Your mind says, if I just think about this more, I'll find the answer. But thinking turns into looping, and looping turns into suffering. You need stillness, not more mental noise. And stillness begins with acceptance. Peace doesn't mean the absence of difficulty. It means the presence of clarity in the middle of difficulty. It means standing in the storm and saying, I am not his storm. I am the sky behind it. I accept that the clouds are here, but I also trust that they will pass, and they do pass. Every wave eventually crashes. Every winter eventually thaws. Every wound eventually scabs. Not on your timeline, but on life's. Acceptance teaches you patience, and not the forced patience of counting minutes, but the graceful patience of trusting the process. You stop asking, when will this end? And start asking, what is this teaching me? And that shift changes everything. You begin to see the lesson inside the loss, the growth inside the grief, the wisdom inside the waiting. Because life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. But you can't see that through resistance. You can only see it through acceptance. You are not at war with life. Life is not your enemy. It's your teacher, your mirror, your companion. And when you stop fighting it, you start hearing it. Acceptance allows you to stop controlling what others think, how others feel, or what others do. You realize that their path is not yours to manage, that their choices are not yours to carry. You accept that not everyone will understand you, appreciate you, or stay with you. And instead of being crushed by that, you feel lighter, because now, you've released the burden of managing the unmanageable. That's what peace really is. It's not a perfect life. It's a life where you've stopped trying to force things to be different and instead, embrace them for what they are. In that space, you begin to hear yourself again. Your true self. Not the fearful self that clings and controls, but the grounded self that breathes and trusts. The self that knows how to live not in resistance, but in alignment. That self doesn't need the world to behave. That self doesn't collapse when things go wrong. That self doesn't seek constant reassurance. Because that self has found something stronger than control. It has found acceptance. And through acceptance, it has found peace. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom.